Okay, so it seems like there's been a little bit of an update on the whole MrBeast situation that we were covering, including a couple of VTubers that obviously called out some pretty not so nice stuff going on over in this video here, which is essentially a Minecraft video they put up on the Beast Gaming channel, and I think it's got almost like 10 million, probably over 10 million views by now. And yeah, essentially this is a 1,000 players simulate civilization boys versus girls. Now, we talked about this in the last video about how a lot of people were upset and how unfair a lot of the rules were, and how there's been some, kind of, I guess, mismanagement that has caused a lot of the girls' side to have tons of like men, like Russian men apparently, joining using like AI and deepfake to kind of like show themselves and like get themselves in. And then obviously they caused a ton of chaos and stuff within the girls' side. And essentially in the MrBeast video, they kind of gloss over that. They don't really talk about it at all, and just say something went wrong over there, which obviously I think is pretty disingenuous to what actually happened. And I think that obviously a lot of people are pretty mad that the actual story of what happened was not presented properly. And people have been coming out to MrBeast for a lot of this. And it seems like this is still going, right? As a lot of people have come out, including more VTubers, including someone called Shakai, who talked about it, saying, was a part of it. I was super excited, but the moment they couldn't find 500 streamer girls, they started to let in any girl, started to let any girl join to fill in the spots. So around 30% of the girl players weren't girls, but boys pretending to be girls with AI to set traps and sabotage the girls' team. Event was so badly organized and hosted, I stopped playing on day 4 because the joy and fun was completely gone. Besides the sudden schedule changes and poor management, can't recommend joining such a mess again. And obviously, yeah, I feel like that's a pretty valid kind of response to that, right? Like not wanting to join one of these events again, because it does seem like the odds were, very, very heavily against the girls' team on this video, with a lot of these people joining. And there's things, for example, like the boys' side buying them DoorDash for them to leave and for them to stop playing and stuff, which I thought was pretty interesting. Or was it Uber Eats or something like that? One of those kind of, food delivery services, right? Which I do think was a little bit weird too. And again, it just kind of presented itself as like a failed video, right? But obviously what the MrBeast team did, they tried to make, every penny out of it. So they still uploaded it anyways, and instead changed the narrative on the editing kind of side of things to kind of fix this mess, right? Because it does seem like it was a big mess whenever this was actually going on and this was being recorded. Obviously, we looked at Zavvy's kind of response a while ago. Obviously, this is on 13 million views now, which is absolutely insane. And they also provided proof of what some of these fake girls were spreading around. And as I said before, people were trying to go after them, trying to say that they were transphobic or something, for saying that they were fake girls. They're not saying that the trans people were fake girls. They're saying that the actual men that were joining, like a little man was joining and using AI and deepfakes and stuff to pretend to be a girl. So that is what's going on. It wasn't anything along that. And I think if anybody is still trying to call them out over that, in quotation marks, I think it is pretty stupid, right? So again, obviously more people have been commenting too. Again, a lot of people have been noticing obviously the similarities between the Ish video, which is the one that I've originally seen and actually really enjoyed the Ish one. I watched it. I'm pretty sure I watched like Ludwig react to it. I thought it was pretty decent, right? But obviously, MrBeast did work with Ish on this apparently. That's what I've seen. But again, it would have been nice if he could have had a little bit more of a, I guess, hold of what really went on in the video, because it seems like on MrBeast's side of things, they just couldn't really handle it, right? And I feel like Ish probably would have done a better job if he had a little bit more control over what was going on. And if he did have a lot of control, then obviously that might have been a failure on his part as well. But yeah, some people saying not a single original thought behind those cold eyes. And you can see, yeah, it's pretty much the same. And you got MrBeast just staring at you in the middle. Again, a lot of his thumbnails, have been known to be very soulless and creepy and kind of I don't know how to describe it, but it kind of looks like he is staring into my soul right now. So people have been calling that out as well, saying the similarities between Ish, and he is just yoinking content and slapping his face on it, which I do think is true. But I think he is doing collaborations with them and asking them to help out, so I don't think that's like the end of the world. Some people saying not pictured, boys bribing the girls with Uber Eats to team kill, which obviously, yeah, that obviously happened throughout the thing. Everyone else said, yup, sounds like a real civ to me. People using money to get above the rest, which I guess, is kind of true. And they keep on going on. People have been actually responding to Zavvy's statement as well, saying, I must sadly confirm the validity of this post. It pains me to meddle in controversy. However, with the amount of sexist hate there has been, I can no longer stay silent. People simply assume that it was female incompetence, but the odds were stacked insurmountably against us. So yeah, obviously, a lot of people were talking about the fact of, it was because it was the girls' team. Of course, they failed. They're girls and things like that, which I don't think is 100% true. I think what actually really contributed to the loss was the lack of skilled players that the MrBeast production team let into, the girls' side. Now, maybe that just says a lot about, how many girls play Minecraft and, actually know what to do within the game. Maybe that could be true, right? But I do think at the end of the day, they probably should have done a little bit better to, I guess, police who is actually being a part of this event and who isn't, because it seems like they didn't have a hold of it. Obviously, as I said, you had those men joining, using all of these tools to pretend to be a girl. And then also you had a lot of people as well who had zero experience with Minecraft, like zero at all, didn't even know how to, make a crafting table type, experience. So apparently that was a very, very heavy chunk of the girls on the girls team as well. And also you had a lot of people who were like non-binary too, which I don't even know, like, again, it's like, would you class them as girls? Like, I don't know. Maybe at a third island. I don't know. But again, maybe they consider themselves girls just for a Minecraft event. I'm not sure, but I think that was pretty odd too. But I do think the main things are, yeah, obviously the lack of experience that they brought over. And I think, with all of those things added up together, it just shows you the desperation of the MrBeast team to get essentially anybody in there so that they can make this video and make it happen without thinking about the consequences of what might happen whenever you put a bunch of, guys who are pretty experienced within the game versus, a bunch of girls who aren't so. And I think obviously we all know how that was going to turn out, especially with the fact that this wasn't entirely a civilization type event either. I felt like obviously there was civilization going on, but then they got into like PvP and things, and that's obviously where it started to get a little bit I think it starts to get a little bit more unfair there. But anyways, I don't know. I think that obviously it has been a pretty mishmash situation at the moment where I think it was just a poorly kind of organized event. I think it was a poorly done event, and I feel like, obviously it should have been done way better. MrBeast should have responded to this by now. I don't think he has. I haven't seen any response from him. But yeah, people saying, I took part in this event and it was definitely interesting. I didn't go into it thinking I'd win or even expecting to make it into the video. As a small creator, I saw it as an opportunity to gain experience and see how a large-scale filming operation works in Minecraft. But my main reason for taking part was to make my 10-year-old nephew proud of me for being in a MrBeast video. But there's quite a few problems. Firstly, the whole event was poorly organized and riddled with tech issues. On the first day, almost everyone died of starvation because crops weren't growing and mobs weren't spawning. I saw my whole life flash before my eyes, and I literally rage quit when my health dropped to half a heart. Honestly, my street credibility would never recover if I died on day one. They said there was also a lot of cheating going on. The girls' side got infiltrated by Russian hackers, and boys were bribing girls to kill members of their own team in exchange for DoorDash. I'd like to think my life is worth more than a Happy Meal, but I'd probably sell my soul for McFlurry, so I kind of get it. I say we were assured that everyone who broke the rules would be banned, but staff kept randomly reviving problematic people, and of course, those players ended up getting the most screen time. I guess MrBeast's team were rooting for certain people since they had good lore, so there was definitely favoritism going on, and the storyline got manipulated in the end. I guess I'm disappointed because the final cut wasn't a good depiction of what actually happened during the event, so many cute/funny moments could have been included for depth and layers, but it only focused on the plot based around a handful of players for an hour-long video. It felt contrived and predictable. I imagine a lot of people feel like it was a waste of time, but I definitely learned a lot from this experience, so I'm glad I took part in it. Unfortunately, I didn't make it into the final cut, so no cool auntie points for me, but I did last until the final day, so I'm pretty happy with that. I was recording footage in the whole event, so I'm hoping to release my own video from their own perspective, which would be very, very interesting to see. And obviously, yeah, again, I think that is a pretty interesting thing. You know, people saying, hi, as someone who's part of this event and has been part of other events, Ish's latest video, I can tell you from experience that these servers are incredibly difficult to run from a hardware standpoint. As much criticism is great, the admins did their best. I said some of the staff were great, Hoodie especially. Oh yeah, I expected tech issues with a server of that size, although most people were waiting for up to 2 hours for the server to open, which is a bit annoying, especially since I'm in the UK and I'm 5 hours ahead of MrBeast's time zone. My main issue was that people kept clearly cheating and breaking the rules, and rather than be banned, they'd be revived for the sake of content, which, yeah, I think that is not good adminship, right? Obviously, people saying, oh, they're doing their best, they're already trying their best. No, no, they're not. They're really not, though, because, again, you wouldn't have a situation like this. You wouldn't have an event like this, right? If this was their best, then this situation would have never happened, right? But it clearly is not their best. Whether that means that, you know, maybe the staff that were there were trying their best, sure, but maybe you need some different staff because it was a pretty horrible event and everybody is saying it was a horrible event and it was run pretty poorly. So again, I do think obviously, you know, there should be some more stuff taken into account here. Maybe MrBeast can take this into account. I'm not sure. Obviously, he hasn't responded to this, so maybe he doesn't even care that this has gone so badly. But yeah, it seems like even more people and even more VTubers have been coming out with their own experiences about this, and I think it is pretty interesting to kind of talk about. But that's essentially all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go over to GameSubs, use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, they got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.